All right, I have a confession to make, and it's a little bit painful, but here we go. I haven't used LinkedIn to promote this podcast, my sales coaching business, or anything related to Side Gig Central, like ever. And I think the reason why is that I'm fearful. I'm fearful that contacts that I have connected on LinkedIn that are completely separate in my corporate world, corporate job life, are going to see me post about this, and I will get questions that I don't really want to answer. And I am just afraid overall of like the commingling of worlds. Do you kind of understand what I'm talking about? So if you can relate to that particular situation in any way, shape, or form, or you just need some LinkedIn help, because I think everybody can use a little bit of LinkedIn help, then this episode is definitely for you. I've got Britta Blansky on the show today, and Britta specializes in helping business owners maximize their exposure, gain visibility, and generate leads on LinkedIn. Yes, please. We are going to go over how to present your side gig, your side business. If you are still in a corporate job, how that would look on LinkedIn and what you need to do in order to feel comfortable sharing what you're doing. Because I, for one, needed advice on this big time.
You're listening to the Side Gig Central podcast, where we truly believe that your side gig has the power to change your life. My name is Elena Ciccatelli, and I'm a small business owner and side gig hustler just like you. I'm so excited to help you redefine what success looks like in today's gig economy. Listen in on honest conversations that I have with the experts and from hardworking side gig entrepreneurs just like you who are killing it with their side hustle. Learn the best strategies, tips, and tricks that have helped others pave their own way and craft their dream side gig. So if you're ready to get started, up your game, and do the work, you're definitely in the right place. Let's get started.
Britta is on the show today, and I am so excited. Britta, how are you this morning or this evening?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Your podcast has been amazing. I binged it before hopping on here, and I was like, yeah, this is good quality stuff. So I'm really excited to be here.
Britta, thank you so much. That means the world. And yes, I will always take flattery. I really, to send some flattery back your way, I so enjoy what you do and how you help people. So just so we're all on the same page, the listeners can catch up. Explain what you do, who you help, and where you are in your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, so I help small business owners get visible on LinkedIn and establish their authority there so that they can essentially sell behind the scenes and they don't even need to sell publicly. So I help you get your content out there, start those conversations, and build those relationships to make LinkedIn actually work for you the way that it was meant to be as a networking platform.
Nice. And so did you just stumble on LinkedIn? I know prior to really niching down into helping business owners with LinkedIn.
Started out as a general VA. My very first job was writing website copy for a wedding planner, which is not what I do today, right? And that slowly niched down to social media management, Instagram strategy. And then I did have a client reach out and they asked for LinkedIn. And to be honest, at the beginning, I was like, oh, okay, I guess LinkedIn, that's the professional business platform. It's pretty boring, but I did it. And now I'm like, oh my goodness, why did I not dive into LinkedIn earlier? Because it is amazing. There is so much value and it is so fun to actually log on and be an active part of the community there. So yeah, it kind of happened by chance and it kind of happened against my enthusiasm, but now I can't see it any other way.
Well, and I think also too, how that evolved for you is there's never a straight line to what you're doing today. There's always these twists and turns. And I love how just your experience informed that as well. So the biggest question I have for you is, well, number one, my LinkedIn is an atrocity. I will be the first to admit it. It's I can say this because I am a ginger. I'm a redhead. It is the redhead stepchild of my social media profiles. Okay. It needs work. So aside from that, the biggest thing that I want to ask is about side gig.
I'm nervous about putting my podcast on LinkedIn because, like, yes, it's my side gig. I do have a full-time position at Lyft. I'm sure I'm not the only person that feels hesitant to do this. Like, is there a strategy that you recommend to your clients, or like walk me through how I should go about thinking about this?
Yeah, so I think it is really common to have that fear to share your passion and your hobby and your side gig on LinkedIn, because there is that stereotype and idea that it should only be for a 9 to 5, like it's only supposed to be corporate, when actually, there are millions of small business owners out there and they have a right to be on LinkedIn as well. And I think it's important to understand that you have a right to share that. And when you sign on, to do your job, you're not signing on and saying like, I'm not going to do anything else other than my 9 to 5, right? Like you have a right to explore and to grow. And I mean, self-development and personal development is really important. So when you're sharing your side gig and you want to get it out there and you're nervous about sharing it, you can add it to your work experience. That's fine. You don't need a business page. Really, the only benefit in the beginning, especially if you are a solo entrepreneur and you don't have a team working with you and you don't have employees under you, the only benefit of having a company page is getting that nice little picture logo next to your experience. Otherwise, you don't need to create it. So it's not like, oh, they can, go research me. Except knowing that if they were really interested, they can find you on other social media platforms. So it's not like, it's hard. You can't grow your business and keep it a secret, right? We all know that if you're going to market yourself and brand yourself, you have to get visible and you have to use your voice. And why not use it on LinkedIn when it is, the business platform? So logically, that's where you should be. But you can start by sharing content that's just sharing your interests. Like talk about what you know. And like, because you're an expert in your side gig, that actually gives you a lot of added value to your 9 to 5, whatever you do. You have lots of soft skills that can be shared. And my big thing is that the professional is personal. Like, people make up businesses. We say that all the time. And what are you going to connect over on LinkedIn? Are you going to connect over a post that's about some random stats and data of how your company performed? Or are you going to connect over this learning experience where you tried something out and you failed and, now you're trying X, Y, and Z. So just start by sharing your journey and what you're interested in and show that you're an expert and let people see that. And if they're going to, comment negatively on that, then you might have to ask yourself some questions about what you're doing anyway.
Right. It could be a bigger conversation or a can of worms that you're opening. So in terms of content and sharing things on LinkedIn, contrast it for me. Like the stuff that I post on Instagram, could I potentially get in that same, like I have a specific brand voice that I use on Instagram, right? Very specific. Like this is how I talk to my audience on Instagram. Do I need to have it more buttoned up? Do I need to, I know you'd mentioned like personal is the new professional. Do I need to sound differently on LinkedIn? Like what are your thoughts there?
No, I mean, absolutely. It's all about being authentic. And we say that all the time, but it's true. Like you want people to know who they're actually working with and who you actually are. And I say this too, when it comes to your profile picture, like it's so strange. Like if you put a profile picture up of you in like a white button down shirt with like a black jacket over it, but that's not your personality. And like, that's not how you're going to show up to work. Then why would you reflect yourself that way? Like you still want your personality to shine. And I mean, I have seen people use profanity on LinkedIn. They do it pretty reservedly. You need to be tasteful in what you're doing. But again, like why you shouldn't hide yourself because you don't want it to be a surprise. So your content's usually a little bit shorter. It's a little bit more direct. And so I would just, still think about who you want it to reach. But don't have to alter it or change it simply because it's a professional platform. So still stay yourself.
Exactly. Well, now I have the permission slip from Britta now to be myself on LinkedIn. So I thank you for that. I have a question about trends because we know about Instagram and like Reels is now that, Instagram just came out and they were like, we are no longer a photo sharing app and we are all like video. What is the trend on LinkedIn that I need to know about? Is there anything like coming down the pike? Like what do I need to know? Just give me the details.
Yeah, so LinkedIn recently rolled out with creator mode, and it's all about creating quality content. And so they have changed a little bit the way the algorithm works, and they're focusing a lot on dwell time. So how much time someone is spending on your post. So that means that they also recently increased the number of characters that you can have in a post, so up to 3,000. But right, it's always quality over quantity. Just because you can have 3,000 doesn't mean you should. So they are pushing for quality content, and it's going to be more focused on followers other than connections. So when you're looking at your growth too, it's not necessarily how many people you're connected with, because there's a limit to that. You can only be connected to 30,000 people, but you can have unlimited followers. So it's really about growing a following to have them hear your voice and see what you're putting out there. And they do want it to be value-based. So what is going to keep that person coming back? That might be video content. But the question too with video is if it's good video. Everything that you put out has to be good, because if it's not quality, then you might as well just not be putting it out there, whatever format it's in.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I didn't know that distinction between connections and followers. I had no idea. Is this something?
Yeah, so
I'm probably late to the LinkedIn jargon party here.
Yeah, so here's an example. If you take a really big name like Brene Brown, everyone loves Brene Brown. Okay, can Brene Brown be connected to like millions of people? No, and probably for her sake too, she doesn't want to be, right? Because if you're connected with someone, that means you can message each other, and their content also appears on your feed. So not only now are you appearing on their feed, but you can see each other's mutually. So following means that I can follow Brene Brown and see all her content, but she doesn't have to feel, restricted to having to connect with me and be able to message me. So it's a way to, you can see other people's content. You can kind of control who's in your feed, because a lot of people complain about the content that shows up on their LinkedIn news feed. And it's like, well, maybe you should go through and remove some connections, because your connections content are filling your feed, and you should go and look for people that you're interested in and this what they're sharing, and follow them, because then they will appear in your feed and it'll become much more enjoyable to log on.
Again, I had no idea about this. Thank you for educating me on the difference between the two, because it makes sense, right? And then at the same time, I am getting like some of these spam in mails. Like that's why sometimes I don't want to log in, because it's like I have this whole laundry list of people I've never talked to, and they're cold pitching me. It's like the same feel as like a cold pitch in the DMs. It's like, but it's like almost amplified a little bit. Like in the in mail, it's like, hey, I see that you've done marketing in the past. What's your marketing ROI? Like it's just like this random deluge of in-mails. So do you experience the same thing, or what do you recommend to clients?
I highly recommend that you update your profile and look at your keywords in there. But also, once you start using the platform and actually become active on it and start engaging and commenting, you'll see that those spammy messages are going to drop drastically. I maybe get one of those twice a month now, and maybe I'm an exception, but the more you narrow down and the more specific you are with your niche or your industry, and you start actually interacting, you'll see that there's kind of a return in that for how you've been showing up.
That means that my LinkedIn is really terrible. So there's the proof right there. But I think going back to my original question about, should I push my side gig, my passion project on LinkedIn? Survey says,
well, I would say definitely yes, you should be showing up as your side gig on LinkedIn, but I would do it in a way that's simply sharing your expertise and value. So when people come to me, they say, wow, that's really cool. I'm interested in what you're doing. Tell me more about it. But straight up sales don't do very well in LinkedIn. So you don't need to go out there and, publish like I'm so-and-so and this is my side business, like follow me. No, because yes, that, like, oh, everyone's going to be so nervous that, upset that I put that out there and I'm nervous to publish that, because that's not the way you would present it. You would present it in a way that's just simply sharing your knowledge, your experience, letting them enter your journey, and saying like, yeah, I am an entrepreneur and this is what I'm doing, and I have the side business and you should come follow along, and let them join with you on that experience without, advertising it to the world that I have a side gig. But no, instead, this is my journey. This is what I'm doing.
Because it makes so much sense, right? Because now we want to build our personal brand, right? It doesn't matter if you have a corporate 9 to 5 or you're trying to build your side gig into full time. It all revolves around building your brand and your brand equity. And like you said, how can you share your knowledge, share your journey without leveraging all of these social media giants? So I probably need to hire you. I need to do a better job of getting visible on LinkedIn, and I need to not be such a chicken anymore. But again, I don't think I'm the only person out there that's a little bit ooh, I don't know. So.
Yeah, I'll admit when I started my side gig, I was still teaching full time, and I definitely went through and deleted all my contacts and blocked them because I was super nervous. But now that I'm past that point and much further down on the road, I look back in hindsight and I'm that was so silly, because now those people, they actually are really supportive and they're following me on Instagram and they watch all my stories, and I'm sure they would have been doing the exact same thing if I hadn't blocked them on LinkedIn. But that's where we are.
Exactly. You never know. But I love this conversation so much. Britta, everybody needs to go follow you. Obviously, they need to go connect with you on LinkedIn. Duh, this episode is about LinkedIn. But where can they also follow you on social media?
Yeah, so I would love to have you come follow me on Instagram at Britta June & Co. or on LinkedIn, just Britta Blansky, put in my name, and I would support you and follow you along in your journey as well.
That's beautiful. Guys, you have to do it. And also to shout out to Italy. I know Britta lives in Italy, which is amazing. So I just had such a soft spot for that because I'm Italian and I love Italy, and I'm sure you have just amazing Italian stories. So one day I would like to just grab a glass of wine with you in Italy. That would be just amazing.
Yes, I'm waiting for the day. I'm waiting for the message where you say, hey, Britta, I'm in Italy. Give me your tips. Let's meet up. We'll put it on the calendar.
It might happen in September, just saying.
Oh, this September?
Yeah.
Oh, really? No, for real.
Yeah. So, okay, the side conversation will make this happen. All right, Britta, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Side Gig Central podcast. You can dive into the show notes for this episode and for all past episodes at sidegigcentral.com. If you love the show, share it with a friend. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. I'll talk to you very soon. And by the way, keep up that side hustle because it looks good on you.